Thank you. Good morning. This is Chairman Jim Hughes, and this is a special meeting of the Ohio Industrial Commission. Before calling the order, it is June 3rd, 2020. My time shows 10:01. I call this meeting to order. This meeting is being conducted telephonically and is being streamed on the Ohio Industrial Commission's YouTube channel. The link to listen to our meeting is available on our public website. Additionally, this hearing is being held in accordance with Section 12 of the Emergency Legislation, amended Substitute House Bill 197, signed by Governor Mike DeWine, and is effective March 27th, 2020. On April 15th, 2020, the Commission met and approved the following motion: to add applications for determination of percentage of permanent partial disability or increase of permanent partial disability, commonly referred to as C-92 hearings, to the allowed matters to be heard during the current declared state of emergency. The topic of this meeting, June 3rd, 2020, is limited to additional hearings to those hearings already allowed to proceed during the current state of emergency as declared by Governor Mike DeWine. During this meeting, it's important that prior to speaking, each person will introduce themselves by stating their name and title. That is so the record accurately reflects the proceeding and the public is properly informed of what happens. I now ask our Executive Director, Tim Adams, to call the roll. Mr. Adams?
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and affirm your presence. Commissioner Gilmore.
Commissioner Karen Gilmore, present.
Commissioner Taylor.
Commissioner Jody Taylor, present.
Chairman Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes, present. This is Chairman Hughes. Let the record show that a quorum is present. Before we begin our discussion, I want to note for the record that we have several letters regarding what the topic of today's hearing is. First of all, we have a letter from Jen Thrasher, Director of Boards and Commissions, dated May 21st, 2020, in support of the topic of today's hearing. We also have a letter from the Ohio Association of Justice, signed by Troy Duffy, dated May 23rd, 2020, in support of what we're doing today on the topic. In addition, we have a letter from Phil Fulton, dated May 21st, 2020, in support of what we're doing here. In addition, we have a letter from Frank DeLucci, dated May 26th, 2020, in support of what we're doing. And just recently received a letter from the Ohio Bar Association, from Scott Lundgren, ESQ, in support of expanding the docket. With that in mind, I would then now call upon Tom Connor, our Director of Adjudication, to present this issue before the Commissioners, please.
This is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, as you are aware, and as was just outlined, these are unprecedented times, and over the past couple of months, the Commission has taken made two good attempts at dealing with this situation by permitting telephone hearings, starting with limited issues, those issues that would be intended to provide a wage replacement or allow a claim so that wage replacement could be appropriate if it was illegally entitled to. And those hearings have proceeded, not without hiccups, but by and large, it's been very impressive how both our hearing officers have dealt with the situation, as well as the outside representatives, both TPAs and attorneys. At the last meeting, it was determined that the C-92 docket should be added in. And at that time, there was an outstanding volume that hit somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 pending C-92s that were going to require hearing. That authorization was given, and across the state we began conducting hearings on the C92 dockets. That volume has now been reduced to around 1,400 pending C92s, and that has made it where at the last meeting, the permitted issues comprised about 57% of the issues out there that were awaiting hearing. That percentage is now down to 50%. So it's about a 50-50 situation where the permitted issues take up that much volume, and the issues that are coming to hearing that are not currently permitted to be docketed take up about half of the volume as well. That has resulted in a situation where we have the ability to conduct additional hearings, and that is my recommendation, quite frankly, is to now open up all issues for hearing. My recommendation is we continue to conduct them the way we're conducting them. It's telephonic hearings, only 2 per hour. The logistics of getting parties on and off of calls make it so that we cannot conduct the same number of hearings telephonically as we have, or as we would have in person. And so it's to do 2 per hour, 6 per hour when you talk about the C92 docket, and the recon dockets at the SHO level on C92s. For the same reason I said, it's just a matter of juggling people in and out of the hearings. It takes some time, and that impacts the number of hearings that can go forward. As an aside, it was mentioned the letters came in support of taking this action. I will tell you that I suggest or discussed this matter with Matt Tyack, the Assembly President within the Industrial Commission, and he was fully supportive of adding the additional issues, so long as the volume of hearings per hour wasn't changing, so that the hearing officers have appropriate time to juggle the logistics. Adding the remaining issues and allowing those to go to dockets, he was fully supportive of. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Connor. Before I ask Commissioners of any questions of you, I'd be remiss if I didn't state also that the stakeholders, many who are on the nominating committee, have been contacted regarding this, meaning the business community, both sides, labor, et cetera, meaning Tim Berg and others, and they're all supportive of what we're doing here today. I want to make sure that was mentioned. With that, I will ask fellow commissioners if they have any questions of Director Tom Connor of Adjudication. Commissioner,
This is
Dr. Karen I'm sorry, Commissioner Jody Taylor, do you have a question of Director Tom Connor?
I do. This is Commissioner Jody Taylor. Tom, how many hours are hearing officers doing per day, and how many are they averaging per week? I know it's different from region, but could you kind of just give me an idea of their weekly load?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. Pursuant to the previous instruction, what is docketed per day is 6 hours, with 2 per hour when they're getting a docket. It does vary by region. Currently, we have some vacancies that haven't been filled that were required. So what happens is in Cincinnati-Dayton region, for instance, the hearing officers are spending a little more time in hearings. Cleveland is in about the same boat as some of the other regions. So in those regions, they are doing generally 3 days of dockets, 6 hours a day, 2 per hour, with obviously some continuances mixed in. The other ones, it is normally slightly less, or has been normally slightly less. The other thing to let you know is that the volume of referrals, just kind of getting ready for what has been coming. Initially, when we started down this path in April, really kind of surprising to me is the volume of referrals for hearing remained pretty constant early on. But now we have been seeing the decline. So we're in a situation between the drop-off in referrals from BWC. The average back in February was about 220 issues per day. That is down to about 180. So there's been about an 18% decrease in that. And then because of the reduced hearings, there's also a reduced volume of ICON filings. So the volume is down precipitously. So which is going forward, they're struggling in some cases to find issues out there to even fill the dockets that are currently scheduled.
Okay, this is Commissioner Jody Taylor. Thank you, Tom. I have one more question regarding the decline in the, I guess, do we expect that trend to have to continue, or are we getting any indication that that might increase in the future?
This is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. I am not getting any indication that there is some pent-up, for lack of a better word, demand going on. I think there's a situation where, you know, obviously our sister agency, BWC, is confronting the same issues we are. But there's also, and it goes without saying, fewer people are working in the situation right now. So I'm guessing there are fewer injuries being connected. So do I expect it as society climbs out of this, might some of that volume come back? I think I would expect that to happen over time, but I don't have any reason to expect it to happen in the immediate future. This summer, I'm not expecting a huge influx of volume as we move forward through these months.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you. Commissioner Taylor, do you have a follow-up on that?
I do. This is Commissioner Taylor. Tom, I understand that timeframes, et cetera, are suspended or held in some kind of abeyance or whatever, but are we still meeting our 107 timeframes and scheduling these within the timeframe and getting them in the hearing timely and getting our orders out timely? Are we still complying with those timeframes?
This is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. For those hearings that we are conducting, the answer is yes. But as we open this up, there's two concerns as we open things up that are just part of. I think in the first meeting, that question was asked, and it was asked of me, do I anticipate a 107 compliance decline as we go through telephone hearings? And I said yes at the time because we can't conduct as many hearings. When you will see, because 107 compliance is calculated when we issue orders, what happens is if we have a situation where we're not conducting hearings on certain issues, we don't see the impact of that until we actually start conducting the hearings on those issues, and we issue the order, and then we calculate whether we met the 107 timeframes, and that's when the impact is seen. So with the issues opening up, if that is the decision today, what I would expect in coming reports is to see a decline in 107 compliance, because then we will start docketing claims that were referred to us, for instance, in the end of March on issues that we haven't been hearing. So we're going to have to work through those for a period of time. Now, right now, yes is the answer. We are in compliance. I would expect a decline as we start to conduct hearings on these claims that have been sitting for a little while. The other thing on that is that created another worry. If the commissioners decide to go this way, what we wanted to make sure is that we didn't then just only docket the old claims, so that some of the priority issues that have already been identified by the commission would then start to sit waiting for these other hearings. So kind of the plan for us going forward is to continue to manually, I know this goes into the weeds a little bit, but continue to manually docket those issues that had been identified as priority that would go on an allowance or an appeal docket. So that what will happen is, if someone's waiting for temporary total or an allowance of claim, that'll get manually docketed, and then our automatic docketing system can then fill in some of these other issues around those priority issues. And we'll watch that for a week or two to see if then we can let automatic docketing do all the docketing again, or we have to continue to do this. It should be noted that of the issues that haven't been getting docketed, 76% of them are treatment issues. So while there are certainly other issues that are significant and have been talked about, that will be the lion's share of what's out there. And so what we're going to, that is the approach. If that's what the commission decides to do today, that will be the approach that we would take.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Commissioner Jody Taylor, do you have any follow-up with Director Tom Connors?
This is Commissioner Jody Taylor. No, I do not. Thank you, Mr. Connor.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman of the Commission. I ask Commissioner Dr. Karen Gilmore if she has any questions of Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Karen Gilmore. With that, is there any other discussion on this matter? Hearing none, this is Chairman Jim Hughes. Do I have a motion?
This is Commissioner Jody Taylor. I will make a motion. I hereby move that the Industrial Commission conduct telephone hearings on all issues for adjudication until otherwise directed by the Commissioners, effective immediately June 3rd, 2020.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman of the Commission. Is there a second to that motion? I will second that motion.
Okay.
Commissioner Dr. Karen Gilmore, would you like to second that motion?
No, that's fine if you want to. Go ahead.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman of the Commission. I'm going to let the ladies second that. So I will have Commissioner Dr. Karen Gilmore second that motion. At this point in time, I'm going to ask the Executive Director, Tim Adams, to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Industrial Commission. As I call your name, restate your name and your vote. Commissioner Gilmore.
Karen Gilmore, yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Commissioner Jody Taylor, yes.
Chairman Hughes.
This is Chairman Jim Hughes, yes. This is Chairman Jim Hughes. The motion does pass unanimously, so we will start that proceeding as soon as practical to have those other issues done. This is the only matter that is before the Commission in this special meeting. So with that, I will gavel this meeting to a close and thank all the parties for this. The time is, according to the Chairman's watch, is 10:19. At this point in time,